What's going on, Bulls fans? We got some breaking news to share with you guys as Jalen Smith is going to be the newest member of the Chicago Bulls as they open up day 2 of NBA free agency with a big-time deal with bringing in Jalen Smith on a 3-year contract. So what does that mean for the Chicago Bulls? What does that mean for the future of Nikola Vucevic? Could they be looking for a trade partner? And then also on the back half of today's show, I do want to dive into DeMar DeRozan and a possible sign and trade with the Los Angeles Clippers, as in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., Paul George did officially sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. So we'll break down Jalen Smith, talk about that on the back half, and it should be a good show. But before we dive into that, guys, want to say thank you so much. We just crossed over 8,000 subscribers here on the channel, and it's all credit to you guys, man. The support on the channel over the last couple of weeks has been awesome. So seriously, thank you guys so much for everybody who's tuned in, everybody who has commented or liked the video. Like, it really helps us go a long way here at Chat Sports. So thank you guys so much for helping us cross over 8K. And hey, if you guys are new here, have not hit that subscribe button just yet, I promise you won't regret it. Lock us in as your go-to Bulls YouTube channel. All right, let's break down Jalen Smith, the center from the Indiana Pacers. So Jalen Smith comes in at 6'9", 215 pounds. He was actually the former 10th overall pick in the 2020 draft. Now, he was selected by the Phoenix Suns during those first 2 years in Phoenix. Didn't really get the most playing time. Never crossed over 13 minutes a game, and that was in his sophomore year. Average around 6 points a game. So he never really broke out in Phoenix. But it's when he went to Indiana in 2021 where he averaged 13.5 points per game, shot 37% from beyond the arc on 4 attempts per game as a center, which is fantastic. But I really felt like this past season he started to make a name for himself in the NBA with the Indiana Pacers. Played in 61 games, started 14 of them, and he averaged just under 10 points a night. 5.5 rebounds, a stock per game, and he also, averaged an assist per night. But pretty efficient from downtown, shot 42.4% from 3 on 2.5 threes per game. As a stretch 5, that is fantastic. And, what I think Jalen Smith's going to bring to the Bulls, he plays hard, moves his feet very well defensively, so it's going to give a totally different feel than a guy like Nikola Vucevic. But, I think this gives the Bulls, an ability to run some 5 out, and it just gives them a different look. Obviously, we know Vuce likes to put those threes up, but, he's not the most efficient three-point shooter as he shot 29% this past season. But Jalen Smith has that stretch 5 ability. He can also play some power forward for you, which is a huge need on this Bulls roster. Like, we don't necessarily have a power forward. Like, you can chalk up Patrick Williams, and he can play some 4. Even I think, Modest Buzelis, like, he can play some small ball 4 for you. But they don't really have that physical, imposing, typical 4-man that we have seen throughout NBA history. Jalen Smith can do that. Now, what does this mean on the Nikola Vucevic front? So I do want to talk about one team, and maybe the Bulls are working the phones right now, and maybe that was, part of their pitch to Jalen Smith, where it's like, hey, you can come here, and if we trade Vooch, you're going to be our starting center, and maybe the Bulls try to go get another guy like a James Wiseman or something like that, which I would absolutely love. But I do want to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans as possibly being an option for Vooch. Big reason why they just they didn't let Jonas go, but Jonas Valanciunas did sign a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Washington Wizards. So they have a glaring need at that center spot. I am telling you, Bulls, right now, if you could somehow, and you're not going to be able to get Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, but let's just say you're able to, swing a trade for one of these young New Orleans Pelicans, and you're able to throw in Vooch, or maybe you get, obviously they did just give up 2 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray. Maybe you get one of their protected picks down the line or one of their young players, and you give them a strong center in Vooch. They're a team that I could see, getting into the Nikola Vucevic sweepstakes, but I think this move with Jalen Smith, I'm not saying it's like, oh, the Bulls are for sure moving off Vooch now, but I think it just gives the Bulls a better insurance plan, like if they do decide to do so. And the thing I love about Jalen Smith, guess what, everybody? He's 24 years old. So think about the core the Bulls have had, or the Bulls have, of all players under 24 years old. Patrick Williams, Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Ayo, Modest Buzelis, like even like the Julian Phillips, the Dalen Terrys, like they have made it so clear that the youth movement is here in Chicago, and I think it's fantastic. And this is just another signing. This is just another breadcrumb to double down on that take that they are fully going to this rebuild. Youth movement is here. Couldn't be more excited. But you guys grade the signing for me, A, B, C, D, or F down in the comments section. I absolutely love this move. I'm going to give it an A. You know, you can call me a homer or whatever you want for, that grade, but I really do like this move. Jalen Smith, hell of a pickup by the Chicago Bulls. But let's wrap up today's show talking about DeMar DeRozan possibly being involved in a sign-and trade with Paul George. Now, PG signed a 4-year max with the Philadelphia 76ers late last night, and I'm not saying I disagree with the move from Philadelphia, but it is funny, and I'll make this note first. It is funny that apparently Zach LaVine has no trade market at all. Nobody wants him because of his contract, because of his injury history, and because people don't think he plays the most winning brand of basketball. Paul George, on the other hand, people view him as this hot commodity where they're giving him a 4-year supermax at the age of 34 years old. People were apparently lining up to trade for this guy. And obviously I understand Paul George is a better basketball player than Zach LaVine. But I think all of these reports about LaVine's market, not being as strong as we heard, and it probably isn't. But for some people thinking that the Bulls are going to have to attach a first-round pick to move off LaVine, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they'll be able to get a deal done this offseason. And if they can't, you have him on the team for the first 30 games, and then you trade him heading into next year's trade deadline. But let's focus on DeMar DeRozan here. Kind of got off track there. But so obviously with where the Clippers are at right now, they brought back James Harden. PJ Tucker, Russell Westbrook opted into their player options. PJ Tucker at $11 million, Russ at $4 million. And clearly the Los Angeles Clippers are still trying to contend in the Western Conference. If you look around the NBA, there's guys like Brandon Ingram, got maybe obviously Zach LaVine on the Bulls, but besides that, there's really not a good star out there for the Clippers to trade for, which they are going to need to do so because I like Kawhi, I like James Harden, but that is not nearly enough to compete in the Western Conference here moving forward. So how could they get there? They could throw in PJ Tucker, throw in Russell Westbrook, even throwing a guy like maybe Bones Highland, just somehow to get to that salary number where you can afford DeMar DeRozan's contract and ends up working out, for the NBA rules. I could see this being the case. I originally said I could see DeMar DeRozan going to Philadelphia 76ers if they strike out on Paul George. Well, now since the Clippers lost Paul George, I could see them being all in on the DeMar DeRozan sweepstakes. So keep your eyes out on that. I could see that move happening here probably today. I think that's going to move very fast. And, I think with a lot of these guys, like they were probably all looking at Paul George and waiting on his decision, and then they were going to decide on what to do there. Also, keep your eyes out on the Orlando Magic. I could see them getting involved in a sign-and trade where maybe they throw up Jonathan Isaac and one of their picks for DeMar DeRozan. I think that would be fantastic. But I actually think DeRozan in a sign-and trade has a lot more value right now than I think a lot of us think. I could see the Bulls getting a solid young player in a first for him because teams are probably looking around. Sixers are ramping up. Knicks are ramping up. All of these teams are making these moves to, obviously go try and win a championship. There's not that many good stars left out there on the market. DeRozan could be that tertiary guy. He would be a great third option on a championship team. Also got to mention, what about the other team in Los Angeles? What about the Lakers? Could the Lake Show be trying to bring DeMar DeRozan home and, maybe they give up Rui, D'Lo, one of their future picks, and then DeRozan heads to L.A., and then maybe they try to swing Klay Thompson as well, and LeBron takes a massive pay cut. Like, I could see that being a possibility too. But if I did have to, put some money on it, go to Vegas, I would probably assume that DeRozan's going to be a Los Angeles Clipper by the end of this week. But we are going to be going live here on the channel at around 11 a.m. just to be breaking down free agency, keep you guys up to date on the latest around what's going on with the Chicago Bulls. We'll be in the studio. We'll have a ton more graphics, so we'll break down Jalen Smith of a lot more on him, a lot more advanced stats and all that. So make sure you guys do stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching today's show. Day 2 of free agency is getting underway today, so I guarantee you I'll have another video out for you guys here in a little bit. So thank you guys so much. Support on the channel has been unreal as of lately, so really do appreciate it. But see you guys next time. Have a good Monday. As always, go Bulls.